This book has had a long gestation period. The manifestation of this book is an example of the creative cosmos and her power of transformation. If as a young one, I had seen this mountain in the distance, because I'm back on my homeland, so I can imagine that. If I, as a young one, had seen this mountain in the distance, I would have thought I could never go there, and certainly wouldn't have known how to get there. I have been determined, virgin in that original sense, as I describe in the book, willful, and I have listened to the deep who knew the way. I'll give you some readings. Is that good, Trista? Shall I proceed?
Please do.
Unless Charlene would like to say something, perhaps, or Miriam?
I'm delighted to be here.
We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Trista.
And Charlene, if you would like to say something.
It says here that she's trying to connect to audio.
Oh, right, okay, well, we'll leave it for a while. She'll get here, I think. I hope you heard it anyway. All right, so I'll proceed with the first reading. Page 26 to 27, Restoring Goddess, or Dea. At the heart of pagan cosmology is the restoring an expression of goddess metaphor for the sacred. It was she who called me into her, to learn of her, to find a way to speak of her. This cosmology is originally a study and embodiment of goddess in three qualities.
I got it.
Often known commonly as Virgin, Mother, and Crone, but globally, she has been named and praised in various terms, such as possessing the three qualities of preserver, protector, creative power, and destructive power, as Kali in India. Or in other ancient depictions, the three qualities are represented perhaps with brain, sword, and snake, as Hecate in Greece. Perhaps with grain, throne, and scorpion, Anatar of Egypt. Perhaps as poet, physician, and smith artisan, as in the case of Celtic Bridget. Sometimes she has been represented as three matrons, as in Germany and Italy. In East Asia, there are many triplicities and triads. In Korea, Margot, the creatrix, is identified with Samsing, triad deity, and also Goma, is referred to as one of the three sages. In our times, she and her multivalent dimensions have rarely been understood, and frequently her triplicity has been reconfigured as three sages or kings. And in some religions, she has been replaced with an all-male trinity. Yet many continued to seek her. The form and the shape that they sought was not in any atlas. Her gaps had been covered up, her hollows filled in, her name blanked out. She lay buried beneath things, silent, but with a detectable, visceral pulse. Restoring goddess for me has meant restoring a sense of she to the cosmos, restoring female sacrality to the small particular self to begin with, and to other, and to all that is. Restoring her as language, as sacred language, image and word, for the creative dynamic that unfolds the universe. Why not? She has been absent for so long. And what might happen then? What difference might it make to the world we live in? Some Beltane readings. I'm conscious that it's Beltane in the Northern Hemisphere at this time. Traditionally, in pagan cosmology, I have associated Beltane with Aphrodite in particular. But it could be Venus, Ishtar, and or other deities from other cultures who are understood to embody the primordial, essential, and ecstatic power of allurement or attraction, of erotic power, a power that holds all things in form and unites the cosmos, the glue that allows and brings forth the dance of life. Nothing happens without this primary power, and I write it as allurement, capital A, inspired by Brian Swimm's naming of it as a power of the universe. In a presentation called Cosmology of the Goddess, given by Charlene Spretnak and Brian Swim in 1987 at an ecofeminist conference, Charlene Spretnak explained the pre-Olympian history of goddess myths and the original nature of Aphrodite. And Brian Swim spoke of the scientific principle, Mach's principle, that recognizes gravitation as a mysterious attraction binding the universe. These insights have deeply influenced pagan poetry for this seasonal moment of Beltane. In the calling of the directions for the ceremony, since this is a celebration of desire or allurement, the focus is on our experience of desire for each of the elements. Our thirst, our desire for warmth and gathering around, our desire for fulfillment and of purpose, and for breath and inspiration. Each participant engages in a tactile, sensuous way with each element. There is an identification of that desire with all desire, the desire of all who have come before us, and the desire of all who will come after us, and with the desire of the universe. And we remember primarily the presence of the elements, that is, that our desire is met. We are not left wanting. It is consummated. We didn't make up this desire. It is the universe desiring in us. It is our nature. We are united in these desires. That is, we all experience these desires. And we are united in our desire with all others who have gone before and all who will come after in their desires. And the final reading for Oh, I think I missed one, but anyway, there you go. That's okay. I'll go on to Persephone Demeter story, which has been so important for me, this restoring. And I'll choose the autumn equinox. In pagan cosmology, the story told of Persephone's descent is based on Charlene Spretnak's version, wherein Persephone descends of her own volition. She is not forced or taken. She descends with the desire to tend the dead. In this pre-patriarchal story, Persephone may be understood as a Hera, a pre-Hellenic name for goddess, which predates the masculine form hero, according to Charlene Spretnak's analysis. Persephone's descent to the underworld for the tending of the dead may be understood as the tending of grief and sorrows, which she is able to do because as seed, a numinous reality, she represents rejuvenation, the restoration of beauty and communion. This would have been the integrity with which this seasonal moment was apparently initially celebrated. In Carolyn McVicker-Edwards' version of the story, Persephone descends for the gaining of wisdom. For millennia in Greece, it was the holy celebration of Persephone's descent to the underworld, and in the earliest goddess tradition, in pre- and post-patriarchal understandings, her voluntary descent corrects the narrative, returns her agency. That is, she simply understands the necessity of the journey, a journey to self-knowledge and redemption of the lost. As such, she is shaman, redeemer. In pre- and post-patriarchal understandings, Persephone enacts the integrity and status of wisdom, redeemer figure within all being. She, like the seed, is the mother knowledge who grows within. This relationship of child-daughter with the mother self has traditionally in pagan circles been represented in the apple when it is cut across the diameter, revealing seed in the fruit in pentacle shape. And it is said that she is seed in the fruit that becomes fruit in the seed. Persephone, Kore, daughter, child, is within the heart of the apple, mother. This is a religious relationship, the essence of the mother-daughter mysteries of old, and wherein all initiates, women, men, and children, identify with the mother and also with the daughter. Each being is indeed both, born and made of her materia. The beauty and sustenance that we may celebrate and enjoy daily unfolds from the underworld, the deep, dark earth into which the seed goes. Autumn equinox or Mabon seasonal poetry may express a stepping into the power of the abyss, which is a descent to wisdom. Lawrence Duerden-Robertson describes the beatific significance of the showing of the ear of corn, as the wheat was known, and the grain's bulbal shape. He calls it a vision into the abyss of the seed, a vision of the source of life. The vision was or is at the same time a vision of the daughter Persephone and continuity, the fact of renewal, not just hope. The vision was an initiation into knowledge of the seed as a thread of life that continues beneath the visible. The grain of wheat or rice or corn in other cultures may represent what we are given in every moment, daily sustenance. To be aware of this gift, the gift of the present moment in its depth is sacred knowledge, divine wisdom.
Thank you so much, Glenys. Are we ready to open for questions? Okay, so I think we're all so lucky to have you. And I would really encourage people to ask their questions because this is a rare opportunity. And Glenys is an encyclopedia of knowledge and wisdom. So
Yes, also to make this statement. If you'd like to comment as well. Yeah. Sorry, Tristan.
yeah, and I am in a little bit of a loss tonight because I'm on my phone. So just go ahead if you would like to ask a question and unmute yourself and jump right in. Don't be shy.
Hello, Glenys.
Hello, Margaret.
Mine is not a question in the first instance, but it may become a question. I just felt very refreshed hearing how you reframe and use one word to mean another word, and I will be able to reflect on that. I was madly writing down what you were saying, and I'll look forward to reading it in full context and probably reading it together with friends. It makes it very colourful and rich. So I don't know, is there a question there? But it's beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks, Margaret.
Anyone else?
I invite dear Charlene. Charlene, I hope that you heard my introduction of our meeting in 1980, which is really where a lot of it began for me. I don't know if you heard all of that.
Yeah, I think I heard most of it. I originally thought it said 4:30 for the time, so that's why it was a little late, but I did hear most of it. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'll have a chance to say anything later, so this is not a question, but I love this book and I hope everyone who buys it, my great wish is that they'll sign up for your email newsletter, because when those emails come and just, it's like stops time. You know, there we are in our modern time doing things, and Glenys's email comes and, you know, oh, an Earth Holy Day is coming up. Okay, 3 more days till the Earth Holy Day. And I want to just completely immerse myself in the beautiful visuals, the altars you make, and also to relate to the other hemisphere, get out of our little solipsistic bubble, but just the beauty of it and the text. And I just think they're the greatest gift. And I thank you for sending those out and hope everybody who buys the book will be able to enjoy that ongoing gift you give.
Thank you so much, Charlene. That's a great honor. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to jump in and just say the book is so yummy. And as I said earlier, or at the other launch, I call her a Willendorf of a book. So thank you, Glenys. Really beautiful offering.
If everybody wants to be quiet, I will do a Samhain reading, if you like. It is Samhain in the Southern Hemisphere.
Can you
So-
speak to really quick, Glenys, about the different hemispheres? And I was thinking when Charlene was speaking that it does kind of bring us together when you're on the opposite end and bringing your portion of the year of the wheel at that time to us. Like, how do you see that kind of bringing women and people together?
Yeah, well, I think, well, for me, to begin with, it was just that I needed to place myself because, as I say, you know, everything was, you know, backwards in the stories and didn't correspond to my place, which of course goes along with the fact that I'm female as well. So you just don't have a place, dear. And so it was quite strong, but it has become, I have often over the decades been the squeaky little reminder that the Southern Hemisphere is different. And you know, even the archaeoastronomy site, which was organized by Scott Monahan back and he had it in the late 90s, and he only had the Northern Hemisphere in there. I said, Scott, hello, Scott, here. And so he did the whole thing for the Southern Hemisphere as well, and then included the Southern Hemisphere in his amazing site. And I guess that has seemed to be my role over the years, is to squeak, squeak. And then, but now it's like it's out there, you know, there's so much consciousness. And I think for me at this point, it became a consciousness of the actual situation where we live on a globe. And it's a situation that, you know, we've got all these people in the classroom, and there are lots of different experiences of the mother's climate. And yeah, so and one is mirrored in the other. And there's an awesome lesson to be learned in the mirror, in the between the two, across the center, the Samhain and the Beltane, and the winter solstice and the summer solstice. They have there's a meeting place for the solstice moments and the equinox moments. They can't be without the other. And I think that's probably the important consciousness that's going on in our times, is the realization that we live on a global, three-dimensional planet, and that the autumn equinox can't be without the spring equinox, and that Imbolc can't be without the llamas, and Beltane can't be without Samhain. How essential they are to each other. So it does deepen our understanding of those moments and those seasons. I know we have some other Southern Hemisphere people here as well, some of whom celebrated with me in Moon Court.
We have one person with their hand up, I think maybe with a question. Are you up for a question before you start to read?
Like, okay.
I just not a question really, but I'd just like to thank Glenys for her contribution to my life. I was fortunate enough to attend her rituals at Moon Court, and I'm of Indian background, and it really changed my life in a lot of ways. So I'd just like to express my thanks to her for her work and for her insights and for her wisdom in my life. Thanks a lot, Glenys.
Yeah, but it's been a great honor, and you yourself are a teacher. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, are you ready for another reading?
We'll do Samhain then.
Yeah.
All right. All right. It's the notes on the Samhain deep autumn metaphor. The whole wheel is a creation story, and Samhain is the place of the conceiving of this creativity. And it may be the spelling of it, saying what we will, and thus beginning the journey through the wheel. As I have expressed it in my doctoral thesis, my primary vision of the wheel's pattern is one of creative power. The female metaphor in her triple aspects is a metaphor of creativity, based in actual life processes. The evolutionary cosmic dynamics, cosmogenesis with its triple aspects, is an actual creative process, a physics of the universe. The seasonal moments of Gaia express this actual creativity. The three together, the female metaphor, cosmogenesis, and the celebration of the seasonal moments, are a language of creativity, a poetry that can express and create. Language is a primary habitat of the human. Wisdom traditions have always understood the power of speech and image. The Western technological scientific culture has forgotten a reverence for this capacity. The wheel of the year, as it has been celebrated in my research, has been a remembering of this power as a power, a consciousness of what we are spelling out. It is a spell of the sensuous, of the sensible, wherein the language has been regarded as material, as hard as rocks, as real. The participants and I have spoken, danced, and dreamed a language, a metaphor that we understood as resonant with the evolutionary cosmic dynamics. All speech participates in the creation of something. It may participate in the creative act, which is ongoing in every moment, at one with every breath and action. I sense the celebration of the wheel of the year, the seasonal moments, as a creative Gaian power, wherein our small daily acts and the way we breathe makes a huge difference. That is the premise where we begin. This seasonal moment of Samhain is a face of the crone or old one moving into mother, a face of the crone or old one as creator, how her transformation of death is truly a moment of creative conception. This is the autopoiesis of the cosmos, its sentient capacity, the well of creativity, where spontaneities seethe in the quantum foam. In traditional language, as Starhawk has phrased it in her Samhain ceremonial statement of purpose, we journey, quote, over the sunless sea that is the womb of the mother, and step ashore the luminous world egg, the shining isle, end of quote, and become the seed of our own rebirth. The shining isle, luminous world egg may be understood as the ovum in the womb where the new is conceived. Such a journey is played out in the offered ceremonial script in this chapter.
Okay, thank you, Glenys. Would anyone else like to ask a question? I see some familiar faces here.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. My name's Roz Bound. I'm from Canada. And I
Roz.
just want to congratulate you, Glenys. It sounds like a massive undertaking. I can't wait to read it. But it doesn't sound dry, it sounds luscious. And I've worked with the Goddess movement for years, so I'm just really, really looking forward to reading it. I just wanted to congratulate you. I know what one puts into the effort of writing a book. And especially when it comes from a dissertation, it's an extra load too. And I wish you well with it. Thank you.
Thanks, Roz. As Trista said, it was definitely a Willendorf of a book.
I was just looking to see how many footnotes there are.
Oh no.
And it's wait, I didn't get them all. 643.
Yeah, well, I'm a
So
little
there's
bit
some work
obsessed.
that went into this.
Well, I'm a little bit obsessive about acknowledging where I got things from, and there was certainly been a lot of teachers and really good ones along the way. And yes, the doctoral thesis, back I graduated in, it was 3rd of May about 2002, I think, and to try and turn it into the first book, it had 6 lines. It didn't have a name, 6 lines to explain what it was. And Charlene was one of my readers. She was a very important reader. It did a lot of. I actually found the notes in my garage the other night when I was searching for my passport. And I found the notes, Charlene, that you had sent back to me with your markings on it and editing marks on my doctoral thesis. That was good. And yes, and to turn that into, it had to have a name. And then when my partner coined the term Pegaian, I knew that that was the name, and it was able to then come into form in the first book. But this book, I realized back in about 2011 that I needed to write a new one, that I needed to document what had been happening, in fact. So it was really still, the documentation was still going on, of course, but we were able during that time, since 2000, and since the publication of Pagan Cosmology in 2005, we actually did it then in ceremony, and documented it with videos and photos, and Moon Court, the ceremonial space, was built. So I had to document all of that, and yes, it was a bit of a job.
Well, you have a lot on your website. I would encourage everyone to go and look at all your videos, and some of them we have a special page just for the book, but I mean, you have so much in terms of content on your website and on YouTube. Just that in and of itself is a labor of love. I know, because we do a lot of web work here, and it takes a lot of time. So I was just going to say that Charlene, I'm looking at the index, is in here a lot, and Miriam is also referenced quite a bit. And I wondered if there was anyone else that you wanted to mention who's been a big inspiration to you.
Well, Brian Swim was big influence on me and helped me understand I was passionate about the universe story. And when I began my PhD, the first thing that I wanted to do was a study of the female metaphor in her three aspects. There were tomes on the Trinity, the male Trinity. And I'd done theology and philosophy. That was where I began doing theology and philosophy for my master's. So I wanted to do a study of her, the female Trinity. So that was the primary thing. But then the universe story I was very passionate about that also. And Thomas Berry had these three qualities of cosmogenesis. Three qualities of cosmogenesis. So I thought, well, these things have got to come together. So, and I can remember sitting down, putting them together, well, obviously the virgin, the young one, as I knew her, was obviously the cosmogenesis of differentiation. To be is to be unique. The self. Okay, that's easy. Okay, they go together. And then the cosmogenesis quality of communion. It's obviously the mother, love of other, relationship. To be is to be related. Yeah, okay, that's easy. They go together. And then there's the crone, the old one. I'm not sure how they go together. The to be is to be a center of creativity, the old one, because in my time, in a lot of our Western industrial brain, the crone is the end. It's like, right. And then of course I got it, right? Oh, okay, center of creativity, the old one. Oh, as far as Gaia is concerned, this is part of the cycle, and her creativity, aging, passing, is part of her creativity. So it opened up my understanding of the old one being a center of creativity, and that this aging is transformation. Gaia saying roll over so I can get on with the new stuff, So that's a creative way. That is the creative way to understand the passing. So Swim and Berry, and they referred to a lot too in the book, were very important. The universe story was very important, and is and has been. I showed those videos, all of Brian's videos, but to about 30 different groups over years, and totally brainwashed myself and incorporated into the ceremonies.
I wanted to say, Glenys, just that I enjoyed reading your book so much. I loved it. And I feel like your language is so gorgeous that it's inspired.
Did we lose Glenys?
Hmm?
Oh,
What was just that?
I thought we lost you for a second. Okay.
No, I'm still here. Thank you, Miriam. Yes, I suppose you know, listening. It is a listening,
Mhm.
finding the right words. Yes, and you know, I consider myself a student of the poetry of the universe.
Absolutely.
And I guess that's what poets and artists do. The whole thing has been a work of art, and that's what artists do, is listen and respond to what.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mm.
Well, I know you have a special communion ceremony planned for us.
Yes, we do. And I'll just show you my little, I've got the 3 candles here, you see, and the Wheel of Stones that's on the front cover of the book. So I'll begin with lighting my 3 candles, and then proceed with our small ceremony, which is based on the summer solstice ceremony, and one that I'd done earlier for years, which I'll also tell you about. Okay, the lighting of the candles. I have the old one in what for me is the southwest, and I have the new young one in the east, southeast of eastern, and the mother in the north, towards the north, northwest. In the name of she, who creates the space to be, the old one. In the name of she, who is the urge to be, the new young one. And in the name of she, who is this dynamic place of being, mother. So taking your bread, if you have some with you, and hold it up. We are each the bread of life, feeding the world with our everyday acts and being, ripening for consuming. It is the sun that ripens in us, bringing us to this creative fullness, this radiance. Break off a piece of your bread, affirming that this is so. And speak if you wish. That you are bread of life, feeding the world with your everyday acts and being.
Mm.
So eat and enjoy your bread, if you like. We are the sun. We are the grain. We are the bread of life. We are her food, nourishing the world with our everyday acts and being. And take your wine or juice and hold it up. We are each the wine, juice poured out for the mystery, coming to full flavor. It is the sun who ripens in us, bringing us to this creative fullness, this full flavor. So pour some wine or juice for yourself and affirm that this is so. Speaking if you wish, but you are the wine, the juice poured out for the mystery, coming to full flavor. And it is the sun who ripens in you, however you'd like to express it, if you would. Then let us drink and enjoy. We are the sun. We are the fruit. We are the wine, the juice, the nectar. We are her food, nourishing the world with our everyday acts and being. Then in ceremony, we would usually proceed from there to some boasting, allowing space for each person to boast about some of their achievements and their everyday acts, how they nourish the world, perhaps with their everyday acts and being. So that's something you might think about as you eat more of your bread and drink more of your juice or wine later. Thinking about your personal, how you feed the world with your everyday acts and being. I wanted to then, that particular is based on an earlier version where I would, in the goddess circles back in the 90s, in the first restoring goddess classes, it was a real reclaiming of the communion that I had done in churches. And I'd hold up the bread and say, this is the body of the mother. This is the body of the mother, of mothers everywhere, given daily for the life of the world. Take and eat. Do this in remembrance of she who gives life. Of mothers everywhere. It's body of the mother, of mothers everywhere, of all creatures, given daily for the life of the world. And this is the blood of the mother, of mothers everywhere, of all creatures, shed daily for the life of the world. Take and drink, do this in remembrance of she who gives life. And then I would say, this meal, it is ours. It is hers. Remember, women are 80% of the world's farmers. We mostly prepare the food. We mostly serve it. We create and sustain the world. With this meal, we may celebrate our physical and spiritual creativity. And we may celebrate the mother in all beings. Then I'd serve some cut up fruit. Say, taste the fullness of the mother. So don't forget to do some boasting.
You can do some boasting. I think you deserved it.
Oh, I've done plenty right here.
Oh, thank you, Glenys. Is there anybody who has any last comments or anything to share before we close?
I just wanted to say, Glenys, that was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. And I'm going to definitely remember it and be applying it in my groups. I loved it. Very beautiful. Yeah, very beautiful. Thank you for sharing it with us. Yeah, beautiful way to honor the mother and the creative force. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, it's the understanding that this meal, it is ours,
Mhm.
and it's been taken out of our hands for so long.
Helene, when I told her we were doing a communion ritual tonight, she said, "Oh, but isn't that a Christian thing?" And I said, "No, it was ours first." And we're reclaiming it.
That's right. That's right.
Right. Yeah, well, that's why it's really significant, actually. It is really significant because young Helene, for heaven's sakes, thinks it's a Christian thing. Oh, my goodness gracious. Yeah, so do it. And reclaim it.
And I love the reclaiming of, the blood and the bread, or maybe something to replace bread. I know a lot of people don't eat bread, but but it's the idea, gluten-free bread.
Rice cakes or corn cakes.
Rice cakes, and yes, exactly.
Because, in many cultures, the corn mother, she's understood that the corn, that's her, that's the mother.
Right.
And
Yes, thank you. I love it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, anyone else? Any last words from you, Miss Glenys?
I was just thinking, just more along that line. The realization is that, to be able to say metaphorically, and to understand that it's her blood that is shed daily for the, to give life, is for the life of the world, and that's what her blood is shed for. Her blood is for life, not for death. So that the whole war thing, reclaiming, shedding of blood for the life processes, that any woman who's doing that work, like Jane Hardwick Collins. I recommend Jane Hardwick Collins. The work is phenomenal, and she's doing so much to reclaim that and working with women in a real way. But and to get that when you see, the priests doing this with Jesus, and that his blood was shed for the life of the world. I always say, poor old Jesus, it wasn't his fault. He don't love Jesus. Poor old Jesus.
Yeah, but I think he's had enough time in the limelight.
Oh, he's prepared to. He doesn't.
I think he'd probably be happy if we just let him rest a bit.
Well, I think it's about the mother, and it's her time. Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing her back to us and bringing these rituals to life. And I imagine if people were doing them all over the world, we would live in a very different place, and there wouldn't be so much war and destruction and violence and all these things that hopefully will just sort of fade out.
So I think I do think it's important, and there is more of it happening. People are, marking the seasonal moments, which is essentially her creativity, and taking these into their own hands, and that is happening. And yes, I think
that's one of the most important reclamations, actually, in terms of getting away from capitalist patriarchy, is getting people to actually go back into these seasonal celebrations.
Well, that's where her creativity manifests in different ways in different places on the planet, mind you. So, this particular, I know I've got 8 points that I was able to celebrate in the region that I was in the Blue Mountains of Australia. The seasons were marked in that way, and it was possible to celebrate that way. There are other regions where, you know, there'll be different, you'll have a different wheel, but I highly recommend making a wheel and marking whatever those transitions are in your place. Because that represents our sacred journey, our everyday. So whatever wheel you create with whatever zones and with whatever markings, however many there are, some places there might be 12, there might be 2, whatever there is, but it represents your tourists, your everyday sacred journey around sun, which is the journey we all make. And it's a transformational journey, you know. Her creativity is there.
Yeah, because you've been at this for 40 years, haven't you, or more?
Yes, I think. Well, you know, I think I did my first winter solstice ritual in 1988, and it was growing thing since then. You know, over time, incorporating more and more. And it wasn't until 1998 that I started doing all 8 of them religiously, as I use the word religious. You see, I think I want to reclaim the word religious as well, because it's a devotional practice. It's not just something, you know. So that's the upside of the word religion, is that it's a devotional.
I wonder if Mary Daly because I have her revised dictionary here. I don't remember if she did religion, if she recreated that word or not, but I'll have to check. Seems like a good one.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone who joined us. Leonor is going to end us with some drumming again. Thank you so much, Leonor.
Thank you all for being here. I recognize some faces, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Glenys. Thank you. We'll do an invocation to the Great Mother, and we'll end with some drumming and sound for the celebration. Thank you, Glenys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.